OP's girlfriend wants to close the relationship, now that he's enjoying himself. So me and my girlfriend are both 23 and have been dating for 4 years now. She had an ex before me, but she is my first in everything. Well, 6 months ago, she said she was looking into having an open relationship, and it would be good for the two of us to get some experience that way so we wouldn't get bored of each other. I was very against the idea, but she said there was no other option for her, and I didn't want to lose her, so I agreed. We made the rule that we'd tell each other who and when we were hooking up with others, and after 2 days of this starting, she went and slept with her ex. I was kind of sad, and to lift my spirits, my friends took me to a club. We danced and enjoyed ourselves there, and we joined a girl group. One of them started grinding on me, and I took her number. We met up later at my place and had sex, and it was so much better. My girlfriend was what one would call a pillow princess. She'd close her eyes and do her best not to moan. She just kind of lay there and took it, and it made me uncomfortable, so our sex life dropped. But this girl was wild. She moaned like crazy and really made me feel like she enjoyed me. I had told my girlfriend about her, and she just sent a thumbs up emoji and a text saying that she'd be hooking up with her ex again. It was weird, and it did click to me that she just wanted to mess around with her ex. But I was also having fun and didn't want to close up again. I was feeling confident, handsome, and attractive for the first time in a while, and I realized that she never actually made me feel that way. We started seeing each other less and less. We went from hanging out daily for the first 2 years to 3 or 4 times a week to once a week. One day, we were out at the mall together, and she stopped at a store to try out some clothes. I ran into a friend of mine in the store, and we started chatting and openly flirting, and it ended with her telling me that she hoped we could meet again soon, in front of my girlfriend. I think on that day she changed a bit. She stopped sending me a text telling me who she was hooking up with, and she said it was because she wasn't hooking up with anyone anymore. We started spending more time together because she wanted to. She started initiating more, trying out new stuff, and generally being more affectionate. I knew this was love bombing, but I enjoyed it, so I didn't really do much. I still took advantage of the open relationship though, and would still go out to have fun, and this started irking her. She asked me why I was still with others, now that she was giving me all the attention I wanted, and she insinuated that I wanted to cheat on her, which is why I agreed, to which I said I was the reluctant one, and she brought it up. She said she regretted it, and she only had one partner and realized he wasn't as good as I was, so she ditched him, and now she wants to close the relationship again. I told her what she was like in bed, and how I felt terrible around her before, and opening up our relationship brought back my confidence. She started crying and hugging me, saying she didn't know that, and that she'd make up for it with me, and asking me if I was going to leave her. I said it had crossed my mind, but I thought not to. She cried harder, then fell asleep, and I realized that I really don't want to close this relationship. I've been feeling attractive and desired for a while now, and I really enjoy it. She has said she'll do her best to make me feel like that, and said that she loves me and doesn't want me to leave her. And she's also changed a bit, complimenting me and stuff, which makes me feel a bit better. I am actually willing to close the relationship, but I would need a guarantee that she won't go back to being what she was, which I don't really have. So, here I am. Do you guys think it's best to close the relationship? Should I even stay in this relationship? Will she go back to being what she was? Mini update. I sent her a text asking her to meet me tomorrow. She probably thinks it's a date or something, but I'm going to tell her we are done tomorrow, and I've invited a friend of hers as a witness, and I'm meeting her in a restaurant, i.e. a public place. Here's hoping it goes smoothly. I'll make an update after we talk. Update. Those who liked it, long story short, we broke up. For those who like juicy details, here goes. So after making my post, I saw that breaking up was my best option. Not just because I didn't want to close the relationship, but also because she had lied and manipulated me, and was very likely doing it again in the form of love bombing. I didn't want to be the SHTTY guy who breaks up over text, and I also didn't want to risk her changing the narrative to paint me in a bad light. So I decided to meet her in a public restaurant with a friend of hers as a reliable witness, so she wouldn't be able to slander me later. We were supposed to meet the day before yesterday, but something came up and me and her friend forgot about the date. I arranged for a makeup meeting yesterday, keeping everything the same. Well, yesterday, I arrived at the restaurant, and she was already sitting there. She cheerfully waved at me, but her face went from confusion to shock to sadness when she saw I had brought her friend with me. She asked me what the friend was doing there, and I said she was just here to verify what happens here at a later date if necessary. She just tilted her head a bit. Well, I told her I was done with her, but not in a good way. I told her off for the manipulation, the clear desire to cheat without having a guilty conscience. and the fact that she thought I wouldn't be able to get anyone. She got defensive and started crying and said it wasn't like that. But I interrupted her and said that that was exactly what it was like. And I knew that she had been fooling around with her ex before we opened the relationship. I didn't, and it was a shot in the dark, but it hit its mark. She completely broke down, sobbing, and said she was sorry and was confused at the time. She said she didn't want to lose me and tried to get me to remember the good times we had. All that did for me was show me how long ago our relationship had actually ended, and I just said that to her. There was more crying. She said she'd change. I said I hoped she did for the next guy she would be with, but it wouldn't be with me. She said to me that she would keep the relationship open and wouldn't be with anyone if that was the problem. I said that our relationship ended as soon as she asked to open it. I just didn't know it at the time. She was bawling, and people's eyes started running over to our table. I just said that I'd return her stuff within a few days and left while she was face down on the table, her friend consoling her. So yeah, I'm done. For the first time in 4 years, I'm single. And for the first time in a year or so, I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I'm going to follow the majority of the advice given to me and enjoy my youth. I won't be actively hunting for a relationship for a while. But if the right one comes along, then lucky me. Thanks to everyone who took time to write comments. Thanks to the people that DM'd me, except that one C word. You know who you are and provided valuable advice. I did get a blast of messages and calls from my ex, begging for another chance. I thought it'd be satisfying to see it, but honestly, it was just sad. I ignored the messages, left my phone at home, and went to a friend's place to hang out without having to ask her if she's cool with it. I'm really going to enjoy being single. Edit. Guys, I really love the support. Thank you so much. I'm reading every single comment. I'm not replying right now, but I assure you, I'm reading all of them. Second story. Asa family. How do I leave safely? 3-year update. Ever since I was young, I have always been emotionally neglected by my family. One of my family members went into the military for 6 years and came back when I was 9. That was when the horrid Oz started to happen. I was touched in places I shouldn't have been and was kissed by this family member. They tried to go further with this Oz, but luckily, it couldn't go far. My parents did nothing as this Oz went on, and I learned to live with being groped and fondled if I were to even dare walk into the kitchen. I slowly became shut in, and my health declined both mentally and physically. By the time I was 13, we had moved out and lived somewhere 2 hours away from my Osser, and I was so happy. It didn't last long though. My Osser, as he's part of the family, didn't pay rent and got evicted, which made him move in with my parents and me. Ever since then, it has been just both physical Oz by punching, slapping, choking, and verbal Oz from this tool. He's even gone as far as to punch the wall where my face was and destroy a window in a fit of rage. As of now, I'll be 18 soon, but until then, how do I survive this? I feel so insecure and afraid to be in my household after a recent incident of Oz, which happened in front of my father. My parents tell me to get along and suck it up, as well as, he's your family, why can't you get along? They know about Oz, but not the details of it. They still defend this man, but not their only daughter. What can I do to speak out about it to them? I'll add details if needed, but just to clarify, CPS was called 3 times and did nothing. Relevant comments on both legal advice and relationship advice. Try to get evidence. I do have images still, but most are mainly what he said. She said, unfortunately, because I know my father will not testify for me and my safety. My family refuses to listen to me and my pleas for justice, anger for my suffering, and the emotional pain of locking my room and staying indoors to avoid his presence in this household. I know for a fact that he won't go to jail, and my family will hate me for splitting the family apart. Obviously, they don't care for me other than to use me as a slave for chores, so I'm moving ASAP around my birthday. My only proof is the CPS around the years, medical hospital records, small therapy, and family witnesses. I doubt they'll willingly tell the cops what happened, considering they've made me lie to both the CPS and police to avoid being taken away and having the perv arrested. So essentially, it'd be my words against his. I've planned to move far from where I live. My friends accepted me after I told my all story in full detail. Stay with friends. There are friends I can ask, but I'm terrified to go to family in fear that my osser will come with me and drag me back. I don't have a job because my family keeps me secluded outside of school. Cops have been called once before, but they didn't do much because it was a noise complaint from a neighbor. I was blamed for the cops and was punished for it by my parents, so I've been disheartened by the police. Night terrors. Yeah, my friends say that I might have PTSD from how I describe my night terrors. They're almost constant, And I can't sleep at night safely without my dog by my side or someone on the call with me to make sure I'm safe. I'm starting to sob from thinking about my nightmares. Thinking back of being in my old room. To that night. Run away. I'd rather play it smart and wait until I'm 18 to run away. Is it dangerous for you to run away? Very, considering crime has been spiking during the pandemic, and the fact that my family can drive, while I am still being refused to do anything. Small update in comments. I have friends that set up to move me out after a few days from my birthday. My relatives all live out of state, and I'd honestly rather not live where my family will know where I am. I don't want to be dragged back to my Aussers. Update post. It's been a while, 3-4 years to be exact. Nobody's asked me for an update, but I don't mind doing one anyway. I escaped. It was hard at first. My parents didn't know what was going on and looked at my friends, and then my boyfriend with malice. My father even tried to come after them after shoving me off my porch twice in front of the police. I struggled for years and eventually got a part-time job at Subway, worked for 2-ish years, then broke up with my then boyfriend 26M, possibly a story for later, and honestly, I'm to blame for us breaking up. I'm a lot happier now, even though I'm poor out of my mind. But who isn't these days? And I've found the love of my life. I don't get those hellish nightmares about my past anymore, and I don't have to worry about my life being at risk. I talk to my family, but I'm on strict low contact with them, and they now know of my past, what I've been through, how I feel about my Ausser, and how to protect me from him when on calls. Before I left and moved out, I had written my parents a 4-page letter about my past and bits and pieces of my sexual, physical, emotional, neglectful, and sometimes financial awes at the hands of my elder brother. And yes, it was my brother. My awes started when I was 9 years old and sexually ended at 12. But the awes in those different categories never stopped. Not until I moved out. I'm now 21F, living with my boyfriend, T21M, and trying to get a job in the new area I'm in. I do miss my parents dearly, as they just wanted a happy nuclear family with the American dream. But it didn't happen due to my brother's twisted nature. Wish me luck out there. Thank you for watching the video.